Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
So welcome to another video brought to you by PlaySafeProductions. So last weekend I got some guys together. Now most of these guys are new for me, so I had one old friend that I've been running with for a while and you've seen him in a lot of my other videos. And then the other three guys are new friends. So we started out, we headed out towards Mirang in the morning. We met up with Lars, who's from Ulsan. And then after that we headed out to Namji. So Namji, I don't know if you remember, but it's one of the places that they have a motocross track and they have some of the big events out there. So kind of headed down the highway. You can see the road's pretty good condition in South Korea here. So we just got up to the motocross track. Now a lot of these guys, they haven't been off-road much before. I hadn't ridden with them before either, so I wasn't sure what their ability would be. I was pretty sure it'd be pretty mixed. One guy had only had his bike for a short period of time. Another one of the new friends, he'd had his bike for a while, but he has some street type. So this was the first section of off-road stuff that we did for the day. Now this gravel's pretty loose at the top, but you actually find in the GS's when you get your speed up a bit, they kind of just they sit nicely. They sort of lift up and lift their weight well. And when you're going slow, the front wheel kind of digs in and gets all kind of a bit sloppy, like you can see here in the sand. Now Lars is a new guy, I hadn't ridden with him before, but he seemed pretty confident. He kind of took off. He's got new off-road tires. He's got some Metzler Karoo 3 tires, so he really enjoyed the time getting off-road and trying out his new tires. So he was doing really well in the sand. My back tires getting a little bit old, but I can make lots of excuses. But I think at the end of the day, Lars was just a very good rider. He's got a bit of experience when he's a bit younger in running motocross. So after that, me and Lars took off by ourselves and decided we'd meet the other guys a bit later. So riding in the sand here, now these clumps of grass, they're actually quite hard at the base, so you've got to be really careful not to hit them, so I was dodging through them. Lars was doing very well, just following behind with his bike. So the grass is pretty long, but I've ridden here when there's no grass, so I was pretty sure there's no real dips or logs or rocks or anything like that. It's pretty flat underneath. It's just a matter of avoiding the grass. Decided there's a riverbank down here that I'd been down before, so I decided to go down there and have a bit of fun and see if Lars wanted to follow. Now initially he wasn't too sure whether he should come down or not, but after he saw I went down okay and got out okay, he decided he'd give it a go. Like I said, the grass is pretty long, but I have seen it when it's pretty short, so I knew that there wasn't too much down there that was going to cause any problems for the 800. Even though this was Lars' first experience off-road on the F800, you can see that he's very confident. Even in the softer sand where the bike can dig in a bit, he was very confident. And he's very good at using the power to turn the bike as well. Now it's not really clear, but there's actually quite a few birds around, and one of the good things about being first when you're riding is you get to see a lot of the wildlife. Quite often at night when we're riding the mountains, we get to see deer, etc. But quite often I'm the only one to see them because I kind of ride along and scare them off, and the people following behind don't get the chance to see all the wildlife. Now you can see here we're messing around in this area of just kind of flat sand. Now if you go back to some of my videos from about a year ago, this used to be a huge sand stockpile that's kind of twice as high as that little pile that's left. So over the last sort of 6 to 12 months, they've taken a lot of that sand out, and I don't know where they're taking it. I guess they're using it in the building industry or something like that. They're taking it away. So after messing around in the sand a bit, we decided we'd meet up with the other riders. So they were stopped at a local CU Mart, which is a 24-hour convenience store. So we decided to get something to eat and drink there. So after taking a bit of a break, we decided to ride along the river again. Now nearly dropped the bike there again. You see the front wheel sort of squirming around. It's a bit wet under there, and you can ride along quite fast, but there's a couple of sections where the moisture stays in. And there I nearly dropped the bike again. Hit one of those clumps of grass. So they cut the grass, but those clumps at the base are still really hard. So I decided to head down to the riverbank and just ride right next to the river. You can see a bird flying out there. So once again, I get to see all the wildlife. Where the others behind get scared. So it's just me and Lars at this point. Now I've ridden along here quite a lot when the grass is quite short, and it's quite nice in this area. So it looks like you're going really fast, but actually when you're riding it doesn't feel that fast. Now I've lost my light once again, so my light's fallen off. The grass hooks onto my lights and rips them off, so I need to get another bracket for my lights. So it's always a good idea to take some zip ties when you're riding, so you can always you know, zip on things that get loose a bit. Now I decided I'd show Lars a new way to hold his bike up. So in the soft sand, you just wiggle the front tire back and forth, and it kind of digs in a little bit. And as it digs in, the bike will actually stand up by itself without any stands at all. So you don't need the center stand or the side stand, even though the side stand was down. So yeah, it'll stay all day. So I showed him how to do his bike, and then stupidly enough, I didn't do it on my bike, and surprise, surprise, it falls over. So yeah, looking after my mate's bike before my own. So I've got some new cases on the bike. The new cases were pretty good. These are BMW ones. They're used, so it wasn't too expensive. Something to keep in mind though, the locks are quite expensive. So after that, we decided to head down this sand hill. Now we went down once and came up again, and then I realized I hadn't put the camera on, so we had to go down and up again. It doesn't look very steep like everything on the GoPro. It looks dead flat, but you can see when I turn around, Lars at the top of the hill, so it's quite steep, and it's very soft as well. And there's sections where it's eroded out. The grass is quite long, but I came down this way probably in the early spring, and yeah, there's not much in terms of logs or rocks or anything like that. So I knew it was pretty safe to go down. So after getting down, it was time to go back up. Now going up the second time was a little bit harder than the first time because we'd started to loosen up all the sand. So I got a bit of a run up and just applied the power, and as I slowed down, just kept applying more and more power, and the bike got out really nicely. So it's always a good feeling when you accomplish something like that. So I turned around, thought I'd film Lars coming out of the up the hill. He did a good job. So he attacks it a lot faster than what I was attacking it, but again it was even looser by this stage. So he put the power on. He nearly dropped it there, but to his credit, he just kept the power on and he just kept going. So you can see how confident he is turning the bike. So after that, we were about to start heading home. It's starting to get a bit late, so we went into this bit of a riverbank. Now the sand, you can see, is really soft here. The important thing when you're riding in deep sand or soft sand is just keep your weight back over the back tire. You can see the front wheel or the front tire moving around a lot, but the bike's still going in a straight line, so you can control the direction of the bike just by keeping your weight over the back tire, and the bike will pretty much go straight. It's also important to keep your power. You want to keep your power smooth. Don't accelerate too quickly either. So in the afternoon we started heading out to Midang, which is where we came from, and it's this really nice tunnel. This is really nice to see the what the GoPro can do, because it's actually pitch dark in here. There's no lights in the tunnel itself other than the lights from the bike, but you can see the GoPro really lightens up. You can see all the walls and the rocks in the walls, etc. So the GoPro does very well in the dark light conditions or the low light conditions. So I thought I'd have a bit of fun and open it up a bit and fly along here. The only problem was I got to the end of this little section, I jumped on the brakes, and a rock, it's probably about 3/4 of an inch, went straight through the back tire. So we crossed the river. This is probably less than a cave from where I was riding just before, and the wheel, I thought it was the front wheel, that the steering started to go a bit soft on me, and I thought, oh, might be a puncture in the front tire. So you see here I actually end up going off the path and straight through the grass, because I'm kind of trying to turn, but the bike doesn't want to turn with me. So at this stage I was kind of checking the front, going, oh, might have a puncture. I got off the bike and checked the front, no puncture, so I was really happy until I looked at the back, and yeah, pretty big puncture. So that was the end of the riding. Thanks for watching.